Now let's start today's class. So what I will do today, because I just forget to record the previous day's class, I will briefly summarize what I have done in the previous class. So in the previous class we talked about concept two concept, which is mixed Nash equilibrium and mixed ESS. So far what we have done, we know that what does the strict definition of the strict Nash equilibrium and what does we mean by strict ESS. Now if instead of playing only action A or playing only action B, one player could action play action with some probability X, and with and other times he can play the strategy play the action B. That means here the strategy is not playing A or playing B, rather than the strategy is here playing A with probability X and 1 minus with probability 1 minus x is B. This is called the mixed strategy because he mixed his strategy with some probability. Now the definition of the mixed Nash equilibrium will be same. So if x and 1 minus x is the strategy of the player 1, and similarly we can also assign probability to the strategy of the player 2, then you can easily calculate what on expected what payoff the player 1 will get, and you will find that it will be in this form. Pi is nothing but the matrix payoff matrix. Instead of representing the payoff elements in this way, if we represent the payoff element in matrix term, so A, B, C, D is my now payoff matrix. And if I write,
In case you are writing something, then you have not shared your screen.
okay, thank you. So yes, thank you so much. So I have to share my screen, I forgot to share. Now it is visible, right?
Yes, it is visible.
So here you can see this pi is the payoff matrix, and instead of this way of representing my payoff element, I am representing in a matrix form. And here the strategy is x 1 minus x, so we can write in a column matrix format x into 1 minus x, the mixed strategy of the player 1, and similarly the mixed strategy of the player 2. Now the we can calculate on average how much payoff player 1 get. You will find that it is easy to calculate. It will came out as a form x transpose pi y. Now similarly you can calculate if player 2's mixed strategy is yt and he is playing against a player whose mixed strategy is x, then you can also calculate the expected payoff of the player 2. Now the definition of the Nash equilibrium is that if x tilde if x tilde is the Nash equilibrium, then the individual who is playing x tilde strategy, if she deviates from this strategy, will not get any better payoff than whatever he is getting by playing this Nash equilibrium. That means he will not have any motivation to or incentive to change his Nash strategy to any other strategy xt. So this is the definition of the Nash equilibrium, and for the mixed Nash equilibrium the definition is still remains same as we have seen in the case of strict Nash equilibrium. Now this is for the two player game. Now when we came to the population level, then this question doesn't make sense, and then we ask the another type of question. The question is, if my whole population is some other type, so in my whole population player individuals chooses strategy A with probability x and chooses strategy B x and B with probability 1 minus x. If in my whole population all individuals does this type, they do this type of thing, then the question in the sense of evolution we ask that if some mutant came in the population, suppose some mutant came in the population and who is not playing a with probability x but with probability y, and b with probability 1 minus y. Now the question is whether or not this mutant will invade the whole population. Here the invasion means, so this if I wait long enough, will the all population, all the individuals in the population will become this mutant type. That means after some point of time they will change their accent, that such a way that they will play a with probability y and with probability 1 minus y. So that is the question. Now the to answer the question is, we introduce a small fraction of mutant whose strategy is y, a small with small y probability that mutant will play one action a, and with 1 minus y probability that mutant will play action b. Now if it is the case, then we can calculate simply what will on average individuals who is playing strategy, who is resident individuals and who are playing the action a with probability x and other strategy with other action with probability 1 minus x, then we can simply write this average fitness, because 1 minus epsilon fraction of time these resident individuals will interact with again resident individuals, and with epsilon fraction of time the resident individual have to interact with mutant type. Then on average that resident individual will get this much fitness and or payoff, or in case of evolutionary dynamics the payoff is the fitness. Now similarly we can also calculate what the mutant get in the similar fashion as we have calculated here for the resident population. Now if we, as we are saying that if I go through the similar logic and say which will be the selected in the long run, we know whose average fitness is higher than the other, that individuals will be selected. Now if we apply that logic, we need to have to prove that this mutant cannot invade the population. We need to have that the selection should select these resident individuals rather than the mutant individual who is using a y strategy. We need to have the average fitness of the resident population should greater than the mutant population. Now if you do it, and for if epsilon tends to 0, then you will find that the condition for ESS is you are getting the condition for ESS, first condition of ESS, that is that if a resident individuals play against a resident individuals, how much they will get as fitness, this should be greater than what a mutant will get if she interacts with the resident population. If this is so, then we will call that x strategy is the fitness. And if in some case the whatever the resident population is getting with playing with the again resident population, if that fitness is equal to is same as what mutant will get if she plays with resident population, if these two quantities become equal, their fitness become equal when a resident individuals playing against a resident individuals and when a mutant playing against a resident individuals, then we have to check another condition, and that condition is come out this, that it makes sense in a way that if a resident population, resident individuals playing against a mutant, how much payoff he will get, that should be greater than what are mutant individuals in if what mutant individuals will get if she again interact with a mutant individual. Here this is the mutant strategy. If the mutant individual play against a mutant individual, how much he will get, this is the quantity. This should be lesser than that what resident individuals get by playing with a mutant strategy. Here by resident I simply means whoever was the primarily there in the population and who is using the strategy x, and here strategy means with probability small x they will play a, and with 1 minus x they will play b. This is the concept of ess. Now we you see that this condition and the Nash condition are similar, and from this concept we came through this concept that ess always implies Nash equilibrium, but Nash equilibrium does not always imply ess, because this this condition and this condition is the Nash's condition, but this third condition does not included in the Nash condition, does not included in the Nash condition. So this is our conclusion here. And there one thing again, the strictness means only this condition will satisfy, and if the some strategy is strict Nash, then it will Nash equilibrium, then it will automatically become an ess for the population. Here ess, the term ess means evolutionarily stable strategy. So that's it, that is what we basically did in the previous lecture. This is the main thing. And then we came through a game that previously whatever we done for the two strategy games, and we introduced rock paper scissor game, and how one can analyze this rock paper scissor type of interaction through the lenses of evolutionary dynamics. Now we here we came across the concept that this p of if I subtract from every column the diagonal element, then we will get a transform matrix. And after doing that, we guaranteed that means if you do the steps, you will find that the replicator the conclusion of the replicator equation will remain same. So we came to we write the what will be the average fitness of these rock type of individuals, and scissor type of individual, and paper type of individuals. And we found out, if we write a replicator dynamics is nothing but that we have covered already in this course. That means the change of frequency should be depend on what is the fitness of that individual minus the average fitness. And if we analyze these equations through linear stability analysis, we will find that there will be no stable equilibrium, or there will be only one fixed point which is neutrally stable, or rather you will say there will be a internal fixed point corresponding to x star equal to one third and y star equal to one third. And you will find that internal equilibrium is actually a neutrally stable. That means this the there will be a orbit, there will be a periodic orbit around this internal fixed point. So this fixed point will corresponding to one third and one third, and you will find that cyclic periodic trajectory around this point. And if you average this trajectory, you will get one third one third one third. So that is what we have covered in this class in the last day. And we introduce a concept called hogged up game. So hogged up game is basically capturing, if you think about the cold war kind of situation, where individual does not, where two country does not uh, get themselves into fighting real war, but what they do, they shows their strength by showing their weapon. uh,
Uh, I have a query at this point.
okay.
So, I mean, what's the purpose of using Jacobian or,
Hmm.
the eigenvalues
Hmm.
you discussed in the studies
Huh.
class? So, I mean, is this limited to carry out the fixed point analysis, the stability analysis, or has something to do with the equilibrium as well?
Okay, first of all, the fixed point and the equilibrium means same. Linear stability means whether that equilibrium is stable or not stable. So to see that things we have to do that analysis. Other there is no other way around. If I know that these points are equilibrium, but we don't know what equilibrium is stable or unstable, or what equilibrium maybe there is a periodic orbit around equilibrium. So if we don't know, the linear stability will help to determine these things.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay. But then still, can you please go to the point
Huh.
wherein you took the Jacobian of the things, and then uh, yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
and so after taking the
Hmm.
Jacobian thing, and then we evaluated everything over the critical points, say one by
Huh.
three and one by three,
Hmm.
and finally we got the value of the lambda
Hmm.
as I mean imaginary
Hmm.
values. So, but still, this is there. I mean, this is still a doubt in my mind
Hmm.
that the interpretation of the real eigenvalues, the interpretation of the imaginary eigenvalues, and what if the I mean,
Hmm.
so what is the impact of the nature of the eigenvalues over the stability analysis?
Exactly. So I guess you forget we have already discussed these things. So if I go back where we have done the linear stability analysis, you find that I get after linearizing the equation I will get a equation like this. Let me go back here. So after linearizing I will get this type of equation, and if I get this type of equation I can write it in this way. So this is my equation, so I can write it in this way. Now after writing it we find that to analyze this equation is a little bit cumbersome. Then we change our reference frame in such a way that our equation will become like this, where this lambda 1 lambda 2 the eigenvalues of the Jacobian. Is it clear? Means up to this is
Yes,
uh,
yes, yes. Now I remember. Yeah,
uh,
yeah, right.
then if this lambda is comes out imaginary, now if you solve you find that if I start nearer to my fixed critical point, you will find that trajectories will oscillate in this way. So that's why we are saying that yes, if I go nearer to my fixed point, it will not go to the towards the fixed point or equilibrium, or going apart from the equilibrium, but it will oscillate around that thing.
Yes, yes, yes. Right. Thanks.
Uh, so that is there. and and then we talk about, in the previous class we talk about the hocked up game. Here whatever I am talking about, the hocked up game is capturing the situation of the cold war kind of thing, where the two countries does not get involved themselves into a real war, but what they do instead of that, they are showing their strength, and both of them are showing their strength, and do not get involved themselves actual war. So this kind of situation can be right in terms of hogged up game. So in hogged up game there is two strategy, one is called hawk and one is called dove. Hawk is the strategy which is the aggressive one, and he always tries to fight with other individuals, and dove is the strategy where if she may find that other individual will fight, she will retreat. Dove will retreat from that fight and she lose. Now in this situation can be right in principle in this payoff matrix, where B is the benefit by winning a fight and C is the cost of losing a fight. Now when two hawks are playing, because they both of them will not leave their ground, their battleground, they will fight for winning, and since only one of them will win and they will pay the cost C for the battle, then with probability half this hawk can win, and with probability other half this hawk can win. So on average we can write a pair matrix which is B minus C by 2, and if a hawk play against a dove, then when the dove finds that the other player is playing kind of hawk strategy, then she will retreat from there, and hawk, this dove will get the pay of 0 and this hawk will get a pay of b. And when two doves meet each other, and eventually one of them will win and one of them will lose and retreat, and the individual who win will get a pay of b by 2 and other individual also get a pay of b by 2. Why? Because at some interaction this dove will win and the some interaction this dove will win. If we assume the probability is exactly half up, then we can write on average the pay of b by 2. So that is the concept. Now uh, why this is important in this evolutionary setup. Previously means previously means it is in the nature, we you will often see that the two types of animals not actually escalating the fights. Instead what they will do, they will they will show their strength. Suppose for a stag, when in the when they came to a ground, after that, if the nearby the they will mate their two male stag is there. Now whoever win the fight, who can stay there and mate with the female who remains inside the neighborhood of that territory. Now whoever lose, they have to leave the battleground. Now despite of their big antlers, you may seldom find that one stag is seriously injuring the other stag or vice versa. And this is the question, why we are not seeing that serious kinds of fighting because of mating or something, because of protecting trajectories or food. Why this is not happening in the animal world? So one view is that, so, maybe these seriously going to fight and inflicting injuries to others, maybe it is very costly to the species. So that's why maybe in the species levels, those species will be selected who are who are never going to actual fight. Rather than that, they will they will play a strength showing game. Now this is the question, but this is the one problem is here. You see, they are, since they are they are following some kind of rule by not going to fight. But if some mutant came in that species and he shows he is going always going to fight and he will always inflicting serious injury to others, and this fighting individual will get a more fitness than the other individuals. So in the long run, the selection will select this defector in that population, and you will not find any species whose whose they are not actually escalating the fight, rather than they are they are showing their strength. So this is the problem of the species selection of group selection. So in place of that, you may always find that the pressure of the selection is mostly on the shoulder of this individual selection. And now that was not solved until the Maynard Smith come with this idea of the game of hawk and dove. Here, from the individual selection level, you can say why the we seldom see the hawk kind of strategy, or the strategy that individuals are there who will really escalating the fight. So so this is the game. Now if we analyze the game through our evolutionary dynamics or replicated dynamics, you will find that only one fixed point is there, and which is stable, which is b by c. B is the benefit of winning and c is the cost of fighting. And you may find that you will find that if c is much larger than b, then x star is the frequency or the probability of escalating fight is very less than 1, so it is very small. So when the cost of fighting is become larger than benefit of the winning, then you will find lower frequency of the hawk strategy in that population. That actually shows why the individual level selection select those kind of strategy who will lesser aggressive, only show their strength. for only Dapkydom strategy. Now then what we done, we saw that if suppose p1 strategy p1 and p2 playing, then how much payoff they will get on average. So this is basically average payoff calculation. And then we saw why this internal fixed point is ess. First what we calculate, that what on average the strategy p star will get if it will play with again a p star strategy, it will get this much payoff. And if an strategy who is not playing with p, if it play against p star strategy, it will get again the same amount of payoff. And if uh, p star strategy, that is playing against any other strategy, it will get this much payoff. And if any other strategy playing against any other strategy, will get this much payoff. Now to satisfy the Nash condition, we require to satisfy the Nash condition or the ESS condition, ESS first condition, we require that if a resident population individuals playing against a resident population individuals, how much on average they get, this is this term, P star playing against P star, it should be greater than what mutant will get if she interacts with the resident individuals. So it is this term. So if it is greater than, then we will say that this strategy is ESS or NAS. But we find that these two are equal. Since these two are equal here, this P star and P star is equal, so that means these these two terms are equal. So that means it is not satisfying the first condition of the ESS, but is satisfying the one condition of the Nash equilibrium. So this mixed equilibrium, that P star is equal to B by C, this is a Nash equilibrium. Now to become this P star ESS, we have to check that whether or not this what this strategy P star strategy will get, that resident strategy will get with playing a mutant strategy, that should be greater than what a mutant will get if you will, if that mutant play against a mutant. Now that means we have to show that this is greater than this. Now one idea is that, so if I do it, so in the previous lecture, so if I do it again here, so let me do it. So that means if we subtract from this to this, what I will get, e p star p minus e p p, what we will get, we will get, so we will get b by, let me do it, b by 2 1 plus 1 plus b by c minus 2p minus p by 2 1 minus c by 1 minus c by b p square. Now if I do it, so I'll get b by 2 cancelled, and if I take other b by 2 common, then I will get b by c minus 2p plus c by p square. Now again if I take c by b common, b by 2 into c by b, I'll get b by c square minus 2 b by c into p plus p square. So I will get c by 2 into b by c minus p its square. So since it is square, so it is always greater than 0. That means e p star comma p is always greater than e p p. So that means this internal fixed point, which is stable fixed point in the game of Hogd Up, it will always be an ESS. So that far we have gone in the previous class. Now let us let us do one thing, then we will jump to the means we will see another aspect of this game theory, that is called the repeated game. So before going to that, let me conclude this lecture by introducing another thing, which is called, we know that there is a field to study the species and population dynamics, that is called ecology. Now what is the connection between this ecology and evolutionary dynamics? Let me tell you that. So This the field of ecology first started, not first started, but the equation, one of the famous equation in ecology, which is called the Lotka-Volter equation, that was first introduced by the Italian leading physicist of that time. It is called Vito Volterra. So, what is the story behind his writing down, wrote down this equation is that during the World War One, the hostilities between Austrian and Italian disrupt the fishing in the Adriatic Sea. Now, after World War, it was observed that the number of predator, that means shark, increases. The number of shark increases, and the question that this gentleman, physicist Vito Volterra asks, why does war favor these sharks? So that's why he write equation, two equation here. One equation is the population, this is the number of individuals in the prey, that is number of individuals of the prey is x. X is the number of prey that will increase. So this prey has a birth rate a and death rate, because the predator will catch this prey and eat this prey. So the, and if y is the number of predator, then the now increment of the prey should depend on the general birth rate minus b into y. So how much predator is there that will cause the death of this prey, and another equation for predator, that will be y into, they will death at a normal rate, but how much they will eat the prey, that will depend their birth rate. So they will increase in the number number if the number of prey is higher. So if you again analyze this equation, you will get a fixed point which will be corresponding to this. So I will not go to details of this. So c by d and y star will be a by b, and this fixed point you will again find that the Jacobian, if you calculate the Jacobian and the corresponding eigenvalue will be purely imaginary, then you will find that this also corresponding to, there will be a circular trajectory around this internal fixed point. And if you average the time average of this circular trajectory, you will find that exactly x star comma y star is coming out. Now this is the what he comes up. Now how this solve the problem, the question what he asked, that why does the war why favor the sharks, why favor the predator. So for that, to see that, we have to see one thing, that is that if the war is not there, then fishing is going on. If the fishing is going on, then fishing is going on, then the fisher will catch the fishes. So that means the birth rate will decrease of the catch. The birth rate will become a to a minus k going to fishing, and where the fishermen will sometimes encounter the shark and they will kill the shark. So that means the death rate will increase of the shark. Excuse me. So that means c will increase to c plus m. Now this, in presence of fishing, you will find that x star will be c plus m by d, and y in f star will be a minus k by b. Now you will find that the relative abundance or relative number of individuals of y relative to x is lesser than the y star by x. So that is the thing. That's how he says that in the absence of physics, the relative abundance of the y, that means the predator will increase. So that's how we solve. Now the question comes, how this equation related to our replicator equation, that is the prime equation for our evolutionary, for studying the evolutionary dynamics. So let me tell you that things. And to study it more, you can find these things in this book that have uh, so that I have shared with you, that in the Noah evolutionary dynamics books. And in that book you will find these things. Now another thing, that what is the relation between this Lotka-Volter equation. So suppose there are, instead of two species, there are n species are there. Now if yi is the relative abundance, then we can write this Lotka-Volter equation in this way: bij yj, and this is the Lotka-Volter equation. And how for n species we will write the replicator equation is simply that xi, fitness of the ith individual, that will be, if the ij is the P of matrix, ij is the P of matrix, then the average fitness will be this, minus the fitness of the ith type will be this, and the average of the whole population will be phi. So this will be our replicator dynamics. Now what is the connection between these two? So there is no connection between, I mean, physically there is no connection, but mathematically there is a clear connection. It says, if I do this transformation, if I write Ri equal to a in minus a nn, and bij equal to aij minus anj, and if we assume y equal to summation of I equal to 1 to n minus 1 yi, and if we replace our xi with this quantity yi by y, this y, you will find that you will always convert the n dimensional replicator equation with this transformation to a n minus 1 dimensional Volterra equation. And that means your equation will be, after this transformation, your equation will be yi dot, will be yi is ri plus summation of j equal to 1 to n minus 1. So now it is going to n minus 1, that means only n minus 1 species are interacting with each other. So j, so that's it. Why the connection is important? Because connection is important because this replicated dynamics came very recently, but this Lotka-Volter equation was there previously for lot of years. So all the result whose means which people have studied these Lotka-Volter equations and get from the Lotka-Volter equation, now we know that since the n minus Lotka-Volter equation can be retained exactly mathematically by n dimensional replicated equation, then all the result will be valid for those replicated equations. So that's how to analyze the replicated equation become easier. So that's why this the two connection between this ecological equation and the evolutionary dynamics is very important. So that's it. Now let me summarize what we have learned in this lecture so far. So first, that the evolutionary game theory is frequency dependent. What does the evolutionary game theory do? One, evolutionary game theory EGT is frequency dependent. Frequency dependent. Second thing is that uh, for classical game, this payoff only means that relative preference, that in the EGT, evolutionary game theory, payoff means number of number of offspring, and in EGT, like classical game theory concept, Nash equilibrium concept. In EGT, we have ESS concept. Another thing we learned that ESS. This means ESS actually capture the thing. If any strategy, suppose X star is ESS, that means no mutant can invade the population. So that means this strategy is evolutionarily stable. No mutant actually disrupt the strategy, disrupt the state of the population. That's why it is evolutionarily stable. And then we find that replicated dynamics, the replicated dynamics for 3 dimension, the rock paper scissor game. And then we find out that in hawk dove game, how the internal fixed point of the replicator dynamics is actually, it is also a Nash equilibrium and also a ESS. It is this internal fixed point coming from replicator dynamics. So we, from through the example of Hogdub game, we find out how the solution coming from the replicator dynamics is connected to this classical game theory concept Nash equilibrium, and evolutionary game theory concept ESS. And last thing we have done just now, it is how this ecology and EGT is connected through the replicator and Lotka-Volta equation. So that's it. If have any question regarding this, you can ask, or other way I can jump to this next topic of these lectures.
Uh,
Huh.
yes, so by and large, I mean the ideas you delivered in the previous two classes are
Huh.
clear to me.
Okay. Let me then start a new thing. It is called. Let me. It I will talk about in this, even from now onward, the repeated games and what does this repeated game means. So before going to this, let me introduce one classical game, and through this classical game we will see how the repeated interactions or repeated game will automatically came into the picture. So as you are pointing out this game, famous games in game theory, it's called prisoner's dilemma. Prisoners. So this is the funny title given by the Noah, the prisoners of the dilemma. So who are the prisoners of the dilemma? So that's why this title is given. But the game we are talking about, the prisoners dilemma. In this class, we will see that repeated interaction. Let's see. Let me first introduce, as we always familiar with this dilemma, but again for the sake of the completeness of the class, let me uh, again reintroduce this concept of the famous prisoner dilemma. Now the here, not, let me write, then this is remain silent, this is confess, this is remain silent, this is confess. Now here the story is, suppose there are two individuals are suspected of committed a joint crime. Now these two individuals the police catches these two individuals, and these two convicted. But there is a one thing is this, that uh, that the police do not have enough evidence to convince a jury that they actually committed the crime. So what they have do, they started to interrogate these convicted, and they kept these two convicted in two separate rooms, in the way that they cannot talk with each other. So suppose there are two convicted are there, one is, suppose this is convicted 1 and it is convicted 2. Now they kept in different room in such a way, because of they cannot talk with each other. This is the first thing. Now the police came, the people who are interrogate them, they came up with an idea which is called prisoner dilemma. So they in front of them, they uh, they offer them one thing, that if the thing is like that, if both remain silent, that means they do not confess about their crime, then the crime cannot be proven by this police. Then what they will do, after 1 year of sentence, jail sentence, they will move freely, and they cannot means police cannot prove them as they uh, committed a crime. And another thing is that if, suppose, now if one of them remains silent, suppose one of them, here that suppose convicted one remains silent, but if other individual, the committed two, who is in the other room, confess the crime, since the individual who confessed the crime, the attorney give him an offer that they will make him they make him uh, they they will, since he confessed, and the player and the convicted one does not does not confess his crime, that's why they will the system will uh, give him the reward, whoever confess, that will not punish him anymore, and it will give him uh, they will not punish him anymore, but who was remain, means who was remain in that interrogation, he will get a punishment of 10 year sentence. And who does not confess, who actually confess, will get a zero word, means he will not at all, they will sentence any year for him. Now if uh, both of them confess their crime, they will get a 7 year sentence. Now what should a rational individuals do in this way, that is the thing. Now you will find always that rational individuals will always
So yeah, but then I have a query here that I mean, while writing the payoffs, why don't we write every time? Why don't we write them in the form of tuples? Sometimes we write in the form of tuples and sometimes
no,
not.
yeah, you are absolutely correct for the writing. If you write in terms of, you write in terms of this way, means it is only to representing purpose. So once you are familiar with this, what does this means, then there is no way to repeating this number, that's why only. So there is nothing inner meaning associated with it, why we are representing the sometimes we are representing couple number, and sometimes representing the single number. So whenever we represent this matrix by couple number, the first element means the payoff of this player 1 on convicted 1, and the second one is means the payoff of the convicted 2. And similarly all the thing is, now since the payoff elements are similar, are the symmetric, that means whatever the convicted one gets, the same in the same situation the convicted 2 will get the same payoff. So that's why we are writing, in place of writing two numbers we can write only one number. And this number then means, if I write instead of this minus y minus 10, 0 minus 7, then it means these numbers, the payoff the player 1 is actually getting, this convicted 1 is actually getting by taking a particular action against a particular action of the opponent. And the same thing you will find, the same payoff matrix you will find for the convicted 2. So that is the thing.
Okay. And is there any specific reason of taking the value of the payoff in negative?
Yeah, because because I am means these negative numbers showing that they are getting a punishment. So they are getting sentence for 1 year here, 1 year, so that's why minus. So it shows a punishment.
Uh, but then minus 1 is greater, numerically minus 1 is greater than minus 7. So if they remain silent, then they are getting more punishment compared to if both confess.
No, no, no. -1 means 1 year, 1 year prison, 1 year prison, and -7 means 7 year prison. So 7.
But then as far as the ordinal relations are concerned, so then how will we maintain that?
Okay, so this means -1 means the payoff they yield. So -1 is greater than -7. So they should, if I present some numbers -1 and -7. So 1 year of 1 year of prison sentence or 7 year of prison sentence, then I should always prefer 1 year of prison sentence.
Uh, so is this a matter of the preference, despite the fact that minus 1 is greater than minus
Minus
7?
7. Yeah, but here also the -1 is greater than -7, and I will prefer, yeah, -1 is always greater than -7.
Yes, but then why would I like to be present more by keeping silent instead of confessing things?
No, I am not getting you, because here the -1 means -7, so I will not prefer more prison means.
Is there any flaw if instead of taking the negative values, if we take the positive values
No,
only?
no, no, there will be no. So instead of, you will see that in, so let me process, you will see that I will not use -1, because in case of the number of offspring the -1 will not make sense.
Okay, fine.
So only for showing the essence of the thing, that they are getting a punishment of -1 year, and since they are getting a punishment -1 and -7, so I will prefer less punishment than more punishment. So that is why. Now the why I am talking about this prisoner dilemma at all in the evolutionary game theory. So why, you see that to remain silent, here you will find that you will get -1, and remain, if we confess, then we will get -7. So why? So in fact, why this is very important game for the evolution. So in a sense, this game is capture the cooperation problem. So why the cooperation is needed in biology or in evolution at all. So if you think about that, then you will find uh, that first, these the, if you think about that, how that the first cell evolved, first unicellular organism evolved. So before that, we these whoever these replicating molecules has to cooperate between themselves, and if they cooperate between themselves, then only one single cell should emerge evolutionary. That means the cooperation is basic things, and from one cell to multicellular organism, you need the cooperation between these uh, single cellular organism. And even if I go to that animal society, that animal needs to cooperate between themselves to make a form a society. Even humans, if you see for the humans, the cooperation is the key reason why we build cities and societies. And if we not go to these humans, if we remain in if we see in the nature, and we'll see one example of these bees and these ants, these eosocial animals, you will find that only one individual is reproducing there, but all the other individuals remain sterile for all the sterile for their lifetime. And these are called the worker ants or worker bees. These will work for the only one queen ant, and this is a form of cooperation between themselves. Because of this cooperation, this ant society and the bee society can evolutionary means can be there. Or if there is not at all cooperation between the worker ant and those other ants, then there will be no society, ant society, or no bee society at all. So the question is, why this cooperation evolved, and why I am talking about this cooperation defection problem related with the prisoner dilemma. Now I will see. Now you will see why I am talking about these things. Now let's see, as you are suggesting, this number is little bit confusing. So let us write in this way. So there is a cooperation strategy, there is a defection strategy. Again, cooperation, defection. And the cooperation, if both of you cooperate, then you will get a pay of 3. And one cooperate and other defects, then the player 1, this is player 2, then the player 1 will get 0 because the other player defected. And C means this player 1 still cooperate. Since he cooperate but other player defected, he will get 0. But if the the player who defected, he will get more payoff than who is cooperating, suppose 5. And if both of them defect, because the society cannot work well, they will get a pay of 1. Now you see, the structure of our game is similar to.
But then but
Hmm.
this value 5 is not understandable. Why 5? If
So,
who is if the first player is defecting
hmm,
and the second player is
cooperating,
cooperating,
defector.
so then why would the first player
Hmm.
get the payoff as 5?
Okay, defector will get. So, let's see. So suppose means in beehive or in some way, you have to do some work. By all together you have to do work. Suppose you are doing, means you are contributing, you are live in a society, and you all contributing some amount of taxes to the government. Now all has to pay the taxes. If all pays the taxes, the benefit from the taxes or benefit from the infrastructure, benefit from the government, all will get equally. Now if other player pay taxes but you don't pay taxes, so that means you don't have to pay the cost to to or pay the tax. But since you are in the society, you will get the benefit. So that means you are not giving the cost to maintain the cooperation. But since other individual is cooperating, you will get the benefit from the cooperation. That's why you should get more uh, payoff whatever the all other individuals is getting when they all other individual giving taxes. So that is the thing.
Yes, yes, makes sense.
Hmm.
But then why the player 2 is getting the payoff as 0?
Yeah.
I mean, it is not following the same logic.
Yeah, no, it's zero is absolute zero, not it is absolute zero. In place of this, you can write not zero, maybe some other number, maybe some 0.5 maybe. So this is ordinal relationship meter, so 0.5 you can write as well, 0.5. Now you see, again, whoever is cooperating, he is also giving the cost, so bearing the cost, and he is bearing the cost alone. So that's why he will get very less amount of payoff, because he is defective. Someone is cheating. So that's why you have to bear a larger amount of cost and not getting that much benefit. So suppose he contribute, so suppose two of them contribute 5 and 5 rupees. Now suppose after 5 of 5 rupees both of them will get 5 and 5 rupees, but since one of them is not giving 0 rupees, then both of them get will 2.5 rupees, 2.5 rupees. Now in the previous case, the first one has a benefit is at on an average is 2 minus 2.5 is suppose maybe I am not giving a right example here. So suppose not this way, let me giving example.
But then my query is that if others are cooperating
Hmm.
and the player one is defecting, then he's getting the payoff as five.
5 huh?
So why the same logic is not valid for
Hmm.
the player two as well, wherein the player one is cooperating
Huh.
and the player two is defecting, and if player two is not paying the tax, then he should get all the benefits of all others, all those who are paying the tax being in the society. So I mean, my point here is that the value here instead of zero, it should have been five. I mean, it should be the symmetric one, isn't it?
No, no, okay. No, no, no. Now let's. You are saying 5. The 5 means I am bearing the cost of the defector. So
So
that
what's the meaning of five here? Who is cooperating and who is defecting?
oh you here means what do you
And
means what do you understand here?
so you write here four, say four. You
4.
write here the value as four.
4. Okay.
So if the value is four, then
Hmm.
who is cooperating and who is defecting? The player one is cooperating
Player 1 is cooperated, right?
and the player two is defecting.
Right.
But then because the player one paid the money,
Hmm.
so facilities got developed,
Hmm.
and now the player two, without paying the
Hmm.
taxes, is availing those
Hmm.
facilities. So he deserves to get the payoff of four without paying anything. Because the same logic is being used for the value 5 also,
No, I
wherein
don't
the
I don't
player.
get I not get your point, but you it cannot be more than that if all the individuals are means everyone is giving taxes, then I will get more, right? The facility will be
So
more.
so I mean, in the first row,
Hmm.
it is player 1 is cooperating, player 2 is defecting.
In the
And
first
in the
row,
first column, the player 1 is uh, cooperating and the player 2 is, sorry, player 1 is cooperating and the player 2 is defecting.
so you are saying about this element, which element you are
Yes,
saying?
this.
This
So
element.
the value 5. What's the meaning of the player value 5 here?
Okay. So value 5 means the player who is defecting against a cooperator, he will get a P of 5.
Then who is defecting and who is cooperating? I mean,
Okay.
out of these player 1 and player 2.
Okay, exactly. So I think maybe it is better to write it in this way, so then you'll get it clearly. Otherwise, it is actually creating confusion. So here, if both of them cooperate, both of them game. So blue is the player one. Suppose blue is the player one, and red is the player two. Player two. Player two is player one. Now here, player one is getting 5. If both of them is cooperating, now both of them is cooperating. Now 5 5. Now this is D. Player 2 is defecting, but player 1 is cooperating. So that's why player 1 is getting a pay of 0. Why? C is still cooperating, but the other individual is not cooperating with him. So, but the other individual will enjoy the cooperation of other player. He will get 5. Maybe I not write here 5, because let me write here 3 3 3 3. Now again here right, this is right here, so it is defecting, so he is get a pay of 5 first player, and second player here will get 0. Now the last they will get 1 and 1. Now you see, now say what about question was.
it is clear to me now. I mean, the values are symmetrical and make sense. It is okay now.
Yeah, that's, I think, because if I represent in this way, maybe you are got confused with the player 1 and player 2, that's it. But other way it is clear, right? So since if all cooperate, all pay tax, the society, the facility is developed and the society work very well. But if one cooperate and other defect, that means someone is defecting, society cannot develop that much. So that's why who is giving the taxes, he is getting less benefit what he should get. So that's why he is getting a pay of zero. But the who is defecting in the system, he is getting higher payoff, because the cooperated person giving the taxes, and the defector enjoying by two ways, by not giving taxes and enjoying the the the, the amount of development is happening there. In the similar way, if I write this way, now if all the individuals are defecting, if all the individuals are defecting, then they will get a amount of, because they are not, don't have to pay the taxes, they will do by by their own the everything, so they will get some amount of payoff, and the both are defecting. Now this is called the prisoner dilemma. Why it is dilemma, and why this is called dilemma, let's analyze the situation. If this much is clear, now let's analyze why it is called dilemma. Suppose this player 1 and player 2, both of them wants to, tries to maximize their payoff. Then what do you think, that means if you, I am asking you, what do you think, if the player 1 and player 2 both wants to maximize their payoff, what strategies they should play, what strategy they should adopt?
So if
uh,
both wants to maximize their payoff, then the player one will. So I mean, in this first row, since the value 3 is greater than 0, so the player one will try to cooperate, and but then if the player one defects, so then he will get even the better value as 5. So player one would like to defect, but then as far as the player two is concerned, so if the player one defects, so then the player two is getting the value as if player two cooperates, then he will get the value as 0. So player one would also like to be defect. So there is, I mean, both. If both wants to maximize their thing, so if player one cooperates, then he would always be in the fear of that the player two may make a defect, so as to get the payoff as 5. And so therefore, probably the both will defect
Exactly. So
to get
whatever
the
you are saying, exactly correct. So if there is a dilemma, but I'm coming to, but whatever you are saying, let me tell you that, tell clearly that how one should calculate. So player one think that if player two play the strategy C, uh, against the player 2 strategy C, if he plays C, he will get 3 payoff, and if he defect, he will get 5. So if the opponent is cooperating, I should always defecting. And again, player 1 thing, if the opponent is defecting, then also by cooperating against player 2, I will get 0 payoff. But if I defect with the player 2, I'll get 1. So if the player 2 is defecting, I should also defect. So no matter what player 2 do, I should always maximize my payoff by defecting. And similar way also, this player 2 also think like that. So player 2 also thinks that I should do defection when the player 1 is cooperate, and player 2 should also do the defection while the player 1 is defecting. So that way they will lock in this defection strategy. But if you think about this situation once again, that player 1 and player 2 both want to maximize their payoff, but you see the payoff of the maximum payoff they can achieve by playing CC, because this is the maximum payoff they can achieve, the 3 3. If you add 3 plus 3, it is 6. So this is the optimal solution. But here the player actually wants to maximize, but they cannot maximize. So this is the dilemma. In spite of their tendency to maximize their payoff, they will they will locked in such a way they will locked in a such a way they will always defect. So that's why these individuals is called the prisoners of the dilemma. So they will get trapped into the defection strategy where they will get less amount of payoff. Is the dilemma is clear?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, very much clear too.
Okay. So that is the thing. Now you see, so this is the case, but in the real world, that is the case in the real world, whenever people do an experiment with actual human beings and present them a prisoner dilemma game, they never try to do defection. They always try to do, they actually not analyze the way we are analyzing these games. They always uh, in the means in some sense they always tries to do cooperate. So they always tries to do cooperate, and they only defect when that individual finds that there is no other way. I will means I cannot do anything other than defect. Only that's the only that's when the rational individuals, where whatever rational individual meaning the human beings do. So that's why you will find that in any society that all means most of that most not the most of the individuals means here I means I will get trapped. Means he will ask me a question that if this is the case, yes, if this is the case of human, why that not everybody are paying taxes? So that is one problem. But if in two if I place two prisoners who are actually friend of each other, they don't want to confess at all. So this kind of situation is observed in experimentally that when people faces this kind of dilemma, they always tries to opt for cooperation. Now, why means if you want to explain why it is the case that people wants to cooperate. Now, this is one question that now why the question is in case of evolutionary game theory also, because you see the cooperation whatever we have discussed, the cooperation is much needed for evolution itself or for creating the life itself. So since life is there, that guarantees that there should be some kind of cooperation between those replicator molecules who came together and cooperate each other and makes a unicellular organism, and that from those unicellular organism cooperate with each other and makes a multicellular organism, and this is why the cooperation is needed. Now let's see, if we analyze the situation through the evolutionary dynamics, what should I get? Now to do that we have to consider, okay, sorry, we have to consider, suppose x is the, there is a population, and the population there are two types of individuals, one is cooperator, one is defector, and x is the frequency of cooperation, and 1 minus x is the frequency of defection. Now what we have to calculate, we know that we have to calculate the average fitness of cooperator. So that will be, so since a cooperator will in, since the frequency of the in the population there is x is the frequency of the cooperator, then cooperator with probability x will again meet with a cooperator and get a pay of 3. So with x probability it will get a pay of 3, with 0 probability it will get a with sorry, with 1 minus x probability it will get 0 payoff. That means 3x is the fitness of the fc, and what will be the fitness of the defector? So with x probability it will get 5, and with 1 minus x probability it will get 1. So that means 5x plus 1 minus x, so that is 4x plus 1. Now you see the fitness of the cooperator is always lesser than the defector. So it says their cooperation cannot be possible at any scale of the life. So that poses a question. So so this is a question of from the perspective of evolutionary game theory. So that's why we should think about this situation more clearly. How could be the possible way around to get cooperation out of this situation. And if you if you tries to search what are the basic questions that the evolutionary game theory tries to answer, one of the basic question is the evolution of cooperation. Why nature act in such a way, or why selection, despite of being presented by this dilemma, why the nature select the cooperation over defection. So that is the question. Now let us formalize this prisoner dilemma game in a way. So so a game is called prisoner dilemma. Suppose if cooperator, cooperation, defection is R S T P. So the R is called reward because of the cooperation. S is called the sucker's payoff because it is cheated or defected by a defector. This is called the temptation payoff. The defector always have a temptation to cheat or defect against the cooperator. And P is the punishment payoff because both of them is defection, so they are getting a punishment. Now to call this game a prisoner dilemma, we need this kind of uh, ordinary relationship. So T is greater than temptation payoff is always greater than the reward payoff, and reward payoff should be always greater than the punishment payoff, and this punishment payoff should be trumps over the sucker's payoff. So this is one thing we needed to, this ordinal relationship is needed to be called a prisoner dilemma. And with that one thing also is needed, that so instead of cooperation, they could also, if the game was played repeatedly, then one could think that in this term I will cooperate, you will defect, and in the next term I will defect, you will cooperate. So in this way, they can get a payoff. If I cooperate in this round, I'll get S, and my friend who is agreeing to defect in this turn is getting this payoff. Sorry, I'll get I'll get this much. I will get this much because, oh sorry, let me write it in this way. So if I cooperate in this round, I will get S, and my friend defect in this round, so C will get T. And in the next round, I will defect and my friend will cooperate. In this way, on an average, I will get S plus T by 2, and my friend also will get T plus S by 2. So prisoner dilemma should be in such a way that this type of interaction should not be there. That's why S plus T should less than R. So to stop this kind of outcome, we need another ordinary or another relation, that is S plus T by 2 should be less than R. So if these two conditions hold, if the P of matrix, the element of the P of matrix holds these two conditions, we will call this prisoner dilemma. So that is that. Now, so up to now, how much we have did, it is called the uh, single shot game. Now why individual cooperate, that there is another possibility why individuals cooperate, because that I have to meet with you again. So suppose I know I am playing with an individual, we know each other very well. Now if I defect, then uh, I know that I have to meet you again in the next round. Then maybe since I am defecting, and you may find that I am not a trustworthy person with whom you can do your that do whatever you are doing, so then in the next time I will get punished. So that way if I play multiple times, maybe that cooperation can be you could we could find a way where the cooperation could be stable. Now let's see, if I play multiple times, what would be the suppose that we are want to play a game m times, then is there is any strategy that will uh, that will promote the cooperation? Is it possible? Now this is the question. In the if I m times playing a game, now suppose this, let us make a strategy which is called Grim. This is called Grim strategy. This strategy means when I will playing with them rounds, I decided in the first round I will cooperate, and I will do cooperation as long as my opponent will not do defection. If my opponent will defection, and if I see that my opponent defection, and after that point I will defect forever. Is the Grim strategy is clear?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. This is the Grim strategy. Now, and another strategy is all D. So I whatever my opponent do, I will always defect. So that is the all D. Now the question is, will it be the case the Grim could is, if I play a finite number of times, can it be the possible case that Grim can win, or Grim can be a Nash equilibrium, or Grim can be a evolutionary stable state? Let's see.
So in the grim situation,
Hmm.
whatever my opponent
Hmm.
does, I will always cooperate. Is it?
In no, I will cooperate until that point. So suppose this is until that point. So if my opponent is cooperate do cooperation, I will cooperate. And if my opponent, no, I will say in this way, Grim means I will start from the cooperation. Now I will do cooperation as means until I find out that my opponent is defection. If I found out in some state my opponent is defecting, I will start to defecting forever.
Okay. So does this mean that I will keep on cooperating till my opponent cooperates?
No, I will do cooperation until my opponent cooperates. No, no, I maybe this is not clear maybe. So I will first, in the first step, suppose there are game is playing but not write the game in this way. So this is first step, this is second step, this is third step. Suppose this is end step. So I will Grim strategy means I will start cooperating, and if my opponent cooperate, I will cooperate. However, I will always start with cooperation. So if my opponent cooperates, I will see that my opponent cooperates, I will cooperate. And in the previous round if they cooperate, I will cooperate, and I will still do cooperate until I found that in the previous round my opponent actually not cooperating, my opponent is defecting, and from that point I will always defect, no matter what my opponent will do. Is it clear?
Okay, yes. So I view it like this: that once the opponent defects, so this will create an environment of the disbelief
Hmm.
that since once he has defected, so now I will always defect him whatsoever strategy my opponent adopt in the future.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
that's it. So that's the thing. Now this, and there is a all D strategy. All D is clear. So I will not see what my opponent is doing, I will always defect, I will always defect. Now let's see, is there is I am saying that We find a m such that if we play m time a game, my green strategy will win, or green strategy be a Nash equilibrium, or green strategy be a ESS. So suppose then I have to see what the green player will do when they will playing against a green. So at the first round, no matter what, I will cooperate, and since my opponent will see in the previous round I cooperate, both will cooperate, both will cooperate, and since this is the case, they will always cooperating. So if a green play against green, they will always cooperate. So that means the green against green will create a cooperation in the society. So that means if, let me write here the payoff matrix. Green against green is already. So we found out that they will always cooperate, and if we always cooperate, what payoff will get? R. So m time will get R. Is it clear? Green against green.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's see all D against all D, all D against all D, and we know that all D against all D, no matter what, they will always defect. So the defection, they will m times they will defect, and m time defection will give you a pair of m into p, and every round you will get mp mp. So you every round will get p. So at after the mth round, if you sum all the things, you will get mp. So mp. Now interesting thing is what will happen if if green is playing against a, let's see, green is playing against aldi. So this is the first round, this is the second round, this is the third round, and until mth round. Okay, let's see. So in the first round it will cooperate. What aldi will do? It will defect, and since green so green saw see that the aldi, the strategy, our opponent is actually playing d. That's why he now onwards he will always wants to, he always do defection, and always do defection, no matter other player, what other player do. So that means what will be the outcome? So let's see. In this stage the green will pay, since green is the first player, suppose the green is cooperating and the other player is defecting. That means how much the green will play, how much the green will get? S, because he is cooperating in this round and the old is defecting. That means green will get, green will get a pay of S, and what the aldi get? Aldi, since aldi is defecting against a cooperation, he will get a temptation payoff. And in this round, in all the other round, they will get P, P, and P, P. So that means when green playing against aldi, so this means m minus 1 round of P and 1 round of S. So that means green will get S plus m minus 1 into P, and here aldi will get 1 T and m minus 1 round of T. Is it clear?
Yes, yes, it is clear too.
Okay. Now let's see, is it possible that in a situation when my opponent is actually playing green, I also want to play green. So if that is the case, then I have to see that if my opponent is playing green, by playing green I will get a pay of mr, by playing aldi I will get a pay of t plus m minus 1 into p. If by playing green if I can get better than what I will get by playing Aldi, I will always play Grim against a Grim player. Now, when it will be the case, when M R minus MP should be greater than T minus P. So this means when M R minus P should be greater than T minus P, and that means M should greater than T minus P by R minus P. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, we'll get Grimm as a possible solution of the society. That means the cooperation, Grimm against Grimm, possible cooperative solution in the society if if I know that the number of interaction is more than this T minus P by R minus P. So if I put some number here, suppose this is the number, so here R is 3, S is 0, T is 5, and P is 1. So if I put here R is 3, P is 1, so T is 5, it is 1, R is 3, and P is 1. So it will be 4 by 2 equal to. So it shows that if a Grimm placed against a Aldi, if that if that the number of round they are playing is greater than 2, then maybe means if you play for 3 round, then the Grimm can be a possible solution of the society. uh, is it clear up to now?
So yes, it's clear, but
Okay.
then this does not seem to be a realistic situation to me.
Okay.
Like in the society, people not only wants to maximize their payoff,
Hmm.
but then they want to slightly,
Hmm.
decrease the payoff of the others. Because they want to maximize their own payoff, but then wants to
Decrease.
decrease the payoff of the others.
Yeah, if you ah yeah, this is the case, and you are right, but for the theoretical purpose will not include those things. So that is, you are true, absolutely true, there may be those tendency also, but we only want to remain in the domain of where the individuals only want to maximizes their payoff.
Okay, okay, okay.
But you are absolutely correct. There will be a lot of other qualities of human beings. But I only want to see that, since in the prisoner dilemma you are seeing that if I only take that quantity, not other quantity or other qualities of human beings, only the qualities that the rational individual always tries to maximize their payoff, they are trapped into depiction. I just want to see, is there any way to avoid the trap? So yes, it seems that there is a way that if I play multiple times, maybe we can altogether avoid the trap. Now here another thing is there. So this is another problem that is there. So if you find, now if someone wants to find that whether aldi is a good strategy or not, so then if you analyze is that if my opponent player strategy is she will always defect, then what should I play? Should I play green? So let's check that. So if I against aldi, if I play green, I'll get a pay of s plus m minus 1 p, and you will find that it will always less than m p. So that means if my opponent is playing aldi, I should always play aldi. I should not play green at all, because this is always because this you can write in terms of this mp should be less than m plus mp. So here there are two nasces or two evolutionary state is there. One is all individuals are playing green, and all individuals are playing aldi. Now this is a situation, in evolutionary game also you will find the two kind of strategy here, two kind of evolutionary state here, evolutionary stable state here. One is all individuals are playing green, that means the cooperation is there, and other thing is that all individuals are playing aldi. So now this situation is slightly better than what we have found previously, because in this situation that there is a possible way to establishing the cooperation. Now that is the thing. uh, now now let's check us whether this green is a very good strategy or not. So green itself a good strategy or not, let us see that. So is there any problem with green strategy? Is there a problem of green strategy? So let us check that is there is a problem or not. So you see there is a problem with green strategy. What problem it is? So suppose my opponent just by mistakenly or by one only for once wants to see what defection will if he instead of cooperation, if he defect, how much payoff he will get. If only for once he wants to check that, and after that he will always cooperate. That means if my opponent always cooperate, but at some point if he just for only for one he wants to check whether what defection will do, then he will again cooperate. But in this case if a green player play against him, this is some player some strategy. Now it is a possible strategy, but green with cooperation it will start, then again cooperate, then cooperate, then cooperate. Now here also cooperate, but after seeing defection it will always defect, it will never cooperate again. So in that sense it is a problem. Now this sense is a problem. Now another sense it is a problem. So let us see why it is problem. Now suppose there is a strategy green, and there is another strategy, let us call this green star. Now since you are cooperated mth step, m minus 1 step, you are seeing that since we are meeting only since our interaction is only m times, we will meet with each other only m times, why not depending at the last step, because after that we will not meet again. So why not rationally we should defect at the last step. So maybe that will be a strategy. So there will be another strategy which is called green star. It's called that we will cooperate until my means I will do same thing as greens do, but whatever I will do, instead of instead of cooperating in the last step, I will do defection in the last step, because after that we will not meet again. So let's see what green, if a green play against a green star, what kind of payoff he will get. He will start with C and will getting to pay C, but at last step the green will play C, but in the last step, the image step, the green star will play defection. And since defection, that green payoff of the green will be m minus 1 into r, but in the last step he will get a sucker's payoff, and the payoff of the green star will be m minus 1 into r plus m minus r into t. And if a green against play against green, what it will get, green star plays against green star, what it will get. So they will always find C, but in the last step they will get D. So that means the green star, both green star strategy will get m minus 1 into r. At the last step they will get P. So is it clear up to now, or I am
Yes,
okay,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Then it is fine, then it is fine. So now let me do again game theoretic analysis. So let's see, this is green, this is green star, this is green, this is green star. Now what green playing green will get. So let me ask you the question, what green, if a green player play against a green player, what payoff you will get.
So I forgot that exact value, but uh, so if both are green, so then they will always cooperate. They
Exactly.
will always cooperate, and the cooperation, I mean, for the C and C, the value used to be
R.
uh, R.
R.
Yes,
Real.
R.
Exactly. Exactly. This will be then at the if every round you will get cooperate, then you will get MR. And here I calculated this will be green star against green star, you will get M minus R plus P, and a green against a green star will get a payoff M minus 1 into R plus S, M minus 1 into R plus S, and green star will get M minus 1 R plus T. Now here you will find one problem. So this kind of strategy will always win. Why? If green player see that my opponent player is playing green, then what should I do? Should I play green? If I play green, I will get R MR, and if I play instead of green star, I will get M minus 1 R plus T. And you will find that this you can write M minus 1 R plus R, this always lesser than this M minus 1 R plus R, because the temptation to defection is always higher. So that means I will always have a motivation. If my opponent is playing green, I will always incentive not to play green but play green star. And here again, for this case also, you will find the same thing. That means whatever my opponent do, I should play also green star strategy. In the last round, I should defect. So that means the green cannot cannot um, cannot stop the intrusion of the green star player, or the green cannot dominate over the green is not is ESS, or green is not a Nash equilibrium here. So that means in the end of the day, when in the population all the players is playing green, but suddenly one green star player comes up, you will find that eventually the green star player will invade the whole population. All individual will play green star. That means at the last step they will play defection. So this is the problem.
But this is,
Mm.
yeah, but then I have a query here that this is the, are we following the pure strategy here? I mean,
Exactly.
and we are not following the mixed strategy here. That
Exactly. Exactly.
sometimes G play with the G star and sometimes G play with G.
Oh, okay. For that also, if pure strategy here. Now, if you again whatever you say in the pure strategy, if you follow these things, you will find that no mixed strategy will also can invade the population of the green star population. Because why? So whatever you will do, the fitness of the green star will be always higher than the green. So if you make a combination, convex combination, the fitness suppose the fitness, okay, let me write it. So what will be the green star fitness? That will be M minus 1 R plus P, and you will find that it will always greater than the fitness of the X into fitness of green, and 1 minus X into fitness of the green star. So it is very easy to calculate, but you will find that always the green star population who are playing the strategy green star, the fitness of those individuals will be always higher than also if any individuals suppose playing a mixed type of strategy, that with X probability I will play green, and with 1 minus X probability I will play green star. Is it clear?
Yes, yes, it is clear.
If it is not clear, let me go back here in prisoner dilemma case. It give the same essence of the prisoner dilemma. So here this 3 is instead, if my opponent is cooperating, I should always defect, and if my opponent is defecting, I should also defect. So no matter what my opponent do, I should always defect. Now if I calculate the fit the fitness of FC and FD, then you find that the here also the population will go towards the all defect state. So no matter what mixed strategy here x, you can thought x is like a mixed strategy. So no matter what would be the strategy, no other strategy will invade the green star. Now the problem is here, now problem is not stopped here. Now the against the green star you can have another strategy, so it will call the green double star. Now why you stop defection at the last step? You now again you will say why I am since I know that green star will defect at the last step, so let's forget about the last step. Let's make a defection at the penultimum at means second to the last step. Why not? Why cooperating in the second to last step? We could defect at the second to last step. See, this is called the green 2 star. So I will cooperate m minus 2 steps. Then I will start to defect, and again in the last 2 step I will defect. So you will find the in the same analysis you will find that the green 2 star will be the fittest, or the green 2 star will dominate the whole population. The green 2 star will be the dominated strategy in the population. Now if I follow this logic, you will again go back to this already. So that means in the end of the day, you will find in the population all the individuals become already. So green cannot, this is the problem, green cannot escape the already altogether, because this green will be invaded by green star will invade by green double star, and at the in this way at the last time you will find that the will already will dominate in the whole population. So is it clear?
Yes, can you summarize
Huh.
the meaning of the G double star again?
Okay, G
What was
double star
happening there?
means why stop defect, means why not defecting at a second to last step. Means previously green star means I will only defect at the last step. Now I am saying not
Yes.
last step. I will defect on the last 2 step. Green 2 star.
Okay. Okay.
And the green
Okay.
3
Okay.
star will think that I will defect in the green 3 step, last 3 step. And in this way you will find that, and you will find that the if you follow the similar logic, you will find that green star will dominate the green double star will dominate the green star, as same way as the green star is dominate green. Now in this way if you increase in the defection number, you will at the end of the day you will find that the oldie is the dominated strategy among those. So clearly that population will go towards automatically towards oldie state. So the green star is not a good strategy. So this is the problem of the green. So
Yes. And do we have, so apart from the strategies you discussed, like people might have thought of the many other strategies.
yes.
Like one I can thought of is that I will keep on cooperating and defecting alternatively.
Huh.
So irrespective of whatever my opponent does. So on an average, I would be interested in analyzing the behavior in this case.
Exactly, exactly. These sort of things, yes. Whatever you are exactly right. So this is only one strategy. Now, to find out what strategy maybe is the best to play, I could do many more things. That whatever you want, one strategy you are suggesting that I will do cooperative defecting alternative state. That is also possible strategy. uh, Now let me stop this class here. In the previous class I will start discussing about the other strategy, and we will find out there is one strategy which is actually a very good strategy. It is called the tit for tat strategy. Let me tell you, we will find out that the tit for tat strategy, it is similar to whatever you telling me, but it is not exactly that in I will with probability half I will cooperate, with probability half I will defect, no matter my opponent do. But the tit for tat strategy is saying that I will do whatever you will do. In the last step, if you defect, in the next step I will defect. If you last step you cooperate, I will cooperate. So this is called the tit for tat. Whatever you will do, I will also do that thing in the next step. So you will find, we will find that this tit for strategy is actually a very good strategy. And this kind of thing you cannot see that the whatever the grim here, the problem with grim, that problem will not be there with the tit for tat strategy. So in the next class I will, in means tomorrow I will present these things.
I
Hmm.
have two general
Hmm.
questions. I mean, for which problems to model which kind of the problems game theory is more appropriate. Uh,
Means for classical game theory, that there is, if some strategic interaction is going on.
so strategic interaction among say finite number of the people, or there could be a very large number of the peoples and which are interacting with one another. I mean, out of
Hmm.
the many data analytics techniques
Hmm.
available,
Hmm.
so where does this game theory fits in? I mean, for which kind of the problems the game theoretic techniques would be more appropriate?
Okay. So first, there are two part. One is classical game theory, and one is evolutionary game theory. Evolutionary game theory is all about the course. So for the evolutionary course theory, I can tell the problem that, suppose means I can give you an example. So in Japan, there is a ant. So let me give you that example. So in Japan, there is an ant. It is called name the Pristomyrmex punctatus. So in that ant colony, you will find that this is very interesting ant, because here that type of structure is not there. So here not only one queen and all other workers are there. It is not the case. So inside a colony, all individual can reproduce. Inside a colony, all individual can reproduce, but there are some defector and some cooperators are there. Now these cooperators will cooperate means what, they will do work for the colony. They will go outside the nest, they will forage, they will take food to the nest, and they will share their food with nestmates. They will take care of the nestmates, they will take care of their broods, they will take care of this their nest. They will fight, means uh, they will act as a soldier to fight with other other colonies ants. So these cooperator will do this kind of work. They will contribute to the workforce of the colony. And there are another kinds of ants in the same colony, they remain there. They refrain themselves from doing any type of work, but they are there, they are called the defectors. They only reproduce, they only enjoys the work that is done by the cooperator. Now the problem is, if this is the system, uh, whatever I will do here, you see that in the long run the defection should be the defector should be selected. But in the Japan, you find those ants for 2000 years or many more, means at least for 2000 years those ants are there, at least for 2000 years. So by genomic, by they studying, and they found that these ants present there, this the cheater defector coexistence is present there for more than 2000 generations. So now question is why it is possible. So this type of question, why this coexistence is at all, or this and society, the Pristomarvas punctatus, who in that society the defectors and cooperator are there, why at all we see this species here? Because if the defector selected, then defector does not do work. Since defector does not do work, they will die at all, because they will die, they will not do work, they will not get food, they will automatically die. And there is an experiment which shows that if you keep these defectors in a control colony, means in a control space, you will find that after some time the all defectors, they all will reproduce, but after some time their egg will be rotten down, and all the ants will eventually die. So this poses one question, that why these species at all there, why we are observing this species in nature at all. So these type of questions you can ask through the realm of evolutionary game theory to understand why some species, some behavior is there and other behavior does not there. So this type of question you can ask through evolutionary game theory, first of thing. And the second part, that with classical game theory, uh, it is a means there are in with classical game theory you do many more things, but I only know that with optimization problem you can this, because the classical game theory is a way to optimize your payoff, so or minimizing the cost. So to do the cost minimization and optimizing the payoff in real world, you can use the game theoretic tool. And for model different kinds of strategic interaction through game theory. Now the problem you are pointing out, that if there are infinite number of individuals, there are many more individuals, so then particularly this tool will not work that we are studying here. Only 2% two individual game theoretic tool will not work, or n% n individual game will not work. Then there is some other concept came, that mean field games, that I am not expert on this mean field games theory, this is only mathematical terms I know. So to handle those kind of situation, you could apply the mean field game theory. And you could do one more thing, that is called the cooperative game theory. Whatever we are doing here, it is called the non cooperative game theory. And you can also do the, if many more individuals are there, they are cooperating each other, they making a society, uh, how they work, uh, what kind of rules should be there, what kind of payoff distribution should be there, those is actually studying by the cooperative game theory. So that is the case.
Okay, okay, yes. And will you be taking next class at 11:30 tomorrow?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Then
So
yes.
thank you.
Thank you,
uh,
thank you so very much.
okay,
Bye.
bye.